$2 million for his another alma mater in Chicago. I think this type of donations coming to where you come from and where you live, I think that's the philanthropy you're looking for. And he's another great supporter of GMG. So we know that GMG is going to be in great hands while we continue the relations. So before I say anything more, I would like to invite Ashish to come on stage. Please welcome Ashish Achlerkar. I just decided that I will only have fireside chat with him, not because we don't have any more people today, but it's just that Ashish is a very good friend of mine, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll take that small credit that, can you check in the phone book? The Ashish journey I have witnessed from, I would say, his bootstrap days. I've seen his struggles. And for me, it always amazed me that, somebody from our background really got into a business which none of us even, I am still fathoming how has he made it. A skill trade business which not all of us can relate to. People in US know HVAC is important for us, air conditioning is must. But all we do is give a call to HVAC company and they just do and fix that job for us. And none of them are from our background, ethnicity or color. So Ashish, tell us the secret of why that business and how that business excited you.
First of all, thank you for having me. Sandeep is a very dear friend of mine. We met in 2018, I think at a dinner at an Indian restaurant, and we talked about our mutual dreams and what we wanted to do, and there was a few things that were said there. Sandeep, did they happen? Did they happen? So look, I mean, when you start a company, right, and I was an investment banker before, so my background was analyzing companies and evaluating opportunities for companies and so on. But when you form a company, the biggest objective of an entrepreneur is what? To become successful, right? And what makes you successful is not just one thing. The idea itself is important, right? It has to solve a real problem, it has to be scalable, but then the execution is equally important. And the execution depends on how strong your fundamental frameworks are as a professional, as an entrepreneur. And what are those frameworks? What's the philosophical foundation of that, right? It is, do you really have an understanding of your own purpose, right? Because success does not happen overnight, success is not guaranteed, so you gotta keep going over and over and over. And so when I asked myself that question, I came to the conclusion that my purpose was really, I came to this country as a student, and this country gave me a lot, right? Great education, opportunities to work in great places, make good money, but I wasn't giving enough back. And my way of giving back was to create jobs, right? And because I'm not as smart, I did not really have a fancy Silicon Valley idea, right? That's why I don't live here. So I said, hey, let's look at a simple industry where there is a lot of value creation possible. And I stumbled upon skilled trades. It's a massive, massive sector. And the demand is non-discretionary, right? So if let's say the air conditioning gets switched off in this room, well, most of the people will leave, I think, in a few minutes. So it's non-discretionary demand. When it breaks, you have to fix it. The industry size just in the North American market is a couple $100 billion. It is also a very fragmented industry, right? There's a lot of mom and pops, technician turned business people that wanted to pursue this more as a job. And just because of that, they leave a lot of value on the table. So for someone that thinks financially, investment banker, which I was at that time, I said, wow, this is a great opportunity to buy and bid, right? That's a term that private equity funds use, buy and bid. So you buy companies, you integrate them, you professionalize them, and then you create value for yourself. But I saw something even bigger than that. And what that was, almost a generation of Americans skip trade schools, right? There's a lot of people that go to colleges, want to work in Microsoft, Google, great companies, but not enough people to do this kind of work, right? And so the industry was almost on a stage of, it is still in a stage of crisis where there's not enough supply of labor. And the opportunity I saw was, how do I bridge that gap between supply of labor and demand for labor? And as we do that, how do we leverage technology? How do we leverage training? And the typical goal of a private equity fund is to buy a bunch of companies and then they sell it at a higher multiple, they make a ton of money. But if you were to layer on the solutions to these other fundamental business problems on top of it, you will create not just a consolidated industry, you'll create a tech-enabled, training-enabled consumer services company. And those companies are valued even more, right? And it's a sustainable solution because at some point, no matter how many companies you acquire, you're going to run out of labor. So that is how sort of like the thesis came about. It was very consistent with my purpose. I felt like the opportunity was big enough, and I had an edge, right? That's the other piece, which is, if you want to be successful, you need to work on something that is meaningful to other people, and they will pay for it. And you need to have an edge in executing the opportunity. And sometimes the edge comes in terms of what you know. Sometimes the edge comes in terms of who you know. Sometimes it comes in terms of, what are some of the things that are good about your personality. And I believed I had an edge because I could connect with people, right? When I was an investment banker, that was one attribute that I thought I was not using enough in my job, and I wanted to prosecute that more. So that's how it came about, And now I'm a skilled trades contractor, so I'm the only one that is not dressed in jacket and all that. I'm a simple-minded contractor.
Yeah. No, I keep, just to add to what he just said, he's so casual about his attire. We always meet in one of the five-star hotels in Charlotte, and he comes with his full truck. Because he says, all my employees drive that truck, so I should be also using that truck for my travel. So I think that's the commitment for your business. I felt a very important aspect. Then coming to the next topic, when you said you have an edge of knowing people, I know you have moved the ladder. Are you sitting with multiple billionaires? And I know the recent visit. I don't want to go down deep into the personal part of it. But what is that mindset of a billionaire in this country, which you saw when you had that weekend with one of the top billionaires in the US?
To be candid with you, I didn't really have a template how to interact with those people, right? So I went in with a lot of anxiety, candidly. And we met on his farm. And the thing that humbled me the most was, this is someone that is worth multiple $1 billion and is extremely humble, has tremendous clarity of thought, and is willing to listen to someone that is, much junior, younger to him. I think that's what I'm talking about, right? Those fundamental core values. No matter how good your idea is, you're not going to be able to bring it to life if you cannot execute. And these people have figured out how to execute. So when they talk, yesterday, Dr. Marshall was speaking. He was speaking about philosophical frameworks. He was speaking about what are the fundamentals that make you successful, and then you can fill into that skeleton all kinds of things that you need, right, for a specific idea. So that's what I saw in people like that, and it's a learning experience. It's a humbling experience, but you also learn that success does not come because you hit a jackpot somewhere. It cannot be a fluke, right? For success to be sustainable, your fundamentals have to be strong, and that's what these people have nailed. That's the differentiator.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's something which I also learned from you in the past few days. Another thing which I believe people should know that you're trying to. I mean, the subject of today's fireside chat was about building a legacy and how to build that generational wealth and generational business which can remain self-sustainable for your family. So, tell us more about what are the traits which the young entrepreneurs here can learn from you on generating that type of a business.
I'm also young, but but jokes apart, I think it's nothing crazy in my view, right? So I believe in this thing called cleansing. Every once in a while, I go to the mountains and I close my eyes for several days. I just sit there, meditate, and think about what are the values that have made me successful in the past, right? So I cleanse my values. What are the habits that have made me successful in the past or not so successful? What are the systems I have, right? What's the discipline that I had that made me successful versus not? So going back to the roots, when you were a child, and what was your strength and what was your weakness, and building upon that is super important. Wealth will come if you can create impact for other people. You have to first create impact for other people, and then wealth will come automatically. Do not solve for, I think I said this yesterday, do not solve for the highest valuation, solve for creating highest possible value. And then you will get the rewards of that. And also remembering that success is not permanent, right? So always making sure you can continue building upon it and not get complacent. Those things are super important in my view. But there's a lot of learning that happened in this room, I will tell you, in the last couple of days. Just listening to Dr. Achlerkar, Mr. Pawar, Narendra, a lot of learning.
Awesome. I think that's something which we all want you to share anyway. So it's good that you have shared this and said that you are just amongst us, but still, I would say accelerated exponentially in last 3-4 years. So some of the principles you just laid out. So I will take a step back, and because we're talking of we're talking of millions, we're talking of billions, but obviously it didn't come overnight, as you said. So can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you come from in India, so that people can relate that even everybody can make it happen. Everybody knows the story in US that hey, I started my company in garage, my parents' garage. That's a typical Silicon Valley, cliche. Everybody says that. But what's important is even if you came as a student, I'm pretty sure that your background was as simple as all of us, most of us sitting here. So tell us more about that.
So I grew up in a really small village called Loni. It's in Nagar district. And then I obviously went to COAP. I graduated early 2000s, and I came to the States. So, and I also worked for Bajaj Auto, by the way, Rahul Bajaj company. Amazing experience there. But the learnings from that journey was that you will never get resources enough to do anything comfortably. You're always going to be scarce of resources, whether it is money, sometimes it's time, oftentimes it was food. When we were in Pune, I used to get like some money from my dad, first of the month, and by the 15th, the money would be over. So we had to eat anda bhurji on the stalls, right? COPians remember that, anda bhurji, Shiv Shakti, I don't know. So to fight against that scarcity and still persevere and keep on doing things that you want to do, when you are growing up in a small town, you don't have access to the same resources that people in the cities have, right? Now, Mr. Pawar talked about the student support group. I'm going to help them a lot, but we don't have the same resources that people in the cities have, right? We don't have coaching classes, tuitions, this, that. So how do you then organically develop the same amount of wisdom and knowledge that other people have with more resources, right? So that's one learning. When you come to the States, it's a completely different culture, different climate. You have to navigate the immigration system. You got to, really impress people that have potentially could have a bias towards getting impressed with you, right? And you have to overcome all those things to get to the point where you are sitting at the table again, right? And then don't just stop at doing, I got my H1 visa, I got my job. Don't just stop there. Think about what you can do beyond that. And that also a struggle. Right from gaining clarity of thought to really finding validation and acceptance in the circles that you want validation in. I'll give you one story. So after my investment banking days, I really wanted to work in private equity. And I would wake up at 4 in the morning. We live in Charlotte, North Carolina. So 4 in the morning, I would catch a flight to New York and land there by, say, 7 o'clock. And the reason I did that was because I had a full work day ahead of me and didn't want my boss to know that I was not at work, right? And so I would be on the phone, conference call, this, that. But I would go to New York to attend these private equity conferences, right? Big private equity firms. I was hoping to get a job there, and I would sit there, take cards, tell them my story and so on. And it didn't really click. And fast forward, the people that basically refused me a job where it was COVID, so I was not flying, they were not, nobody was meeting each other, but they were taking private jets to come to my patio, my doorstep, to really become an investor in the company, right? So life comes full circle from that perspective. I didn't do it out of retribution, but it just happened, right? Because you stuck to your basics and tried to do stuff that you wanted to do. Now there's a lot of keywords people throw around, AI, ML, this, that, right? You can always hire expertise. That's one thing that I would like to tell these guys. Do not think. Now, I was an investment banker, I went to good business school, and I was trained on a certain way. But I did not know anything about this industry, and I'll talk a little bit about the future as well. So when I got into that, a lot of my Wall Street friends said, oh, how are you going to be successful here? What are you talking about? You're crazy. But you can hire domain expertise, okay? You don't have to be an expert in anything. Don't fall prey to keywords and buzzwords. Stick to the basics. At the end of the day, whether you use AI, ML, or something else, you're going to have to sell something to someone, right? And they have to pay for it. It doesn't change. So sticking to the basics is important. You can hire domain expertise if you need, but leadership you cannot hire. You have to have that in you, right? That framework. That's why I keep talking about that. And I took inspiration yesterday. I was able to attend one session, Dr. Achlerkar. So my company is in a great spot. We're obviously doing stuff there, but I have this vision through my family office to do work that will impact several billion people over the next several years, right? And whether it is through forming an enterprise and so on, that's the next leg. I guess you were going to ask me at some point, but that's the next leg of my journey. Is through my family office, I would like to impact billions of people in the future, and I think GMG can be a great catalyst for that. How Institute, Narendra, it was
Wow. Music to my ears. Please give him a round of applause for that.
How Institute, amazing talent. I'm gonna work with Narendra, Vijay, the team. I'm meeting a couple of the entrepreneurs today. Yeah, it will be amazing. And also, Dr. Achlerkar and we were having dinner that day, and we talked about how there was a disparity between opportunity and talent and readiness to work, right? So the same thing is there in the US, but in India, it's even more. So there is talent in the rural areas, tier 2, tier 3 cities, but opportunities are only available to people in Mumbai, New Delhi, Pune, Bangalore, so on. We got to change that. We got to empower talent everywhere, democratize the access to opportunities, and that's really what I hope to do in the future, because the journey just started, right? Just begun.
Yeah. So, Narendra Kale sir, you gave us a vision and you wanted everybody to adopt a village. I think you put a challenge to us and we already found a solution there. Who's going to help us? Awesome. I think, so COEP has that great asset, like, COEP has been a backbone of GMG. So I would like to give a big round of applause to all the COEP guys here. You guys have made us all proud, and of course the story here is not story of a friend, because we know more than probably most of you are not COP guys as well, but I think it's story of what GMG is all about, taking these entrepreneurs to the next level, helping them, but also creating new ones. So your support is very critical. Thank you very much for that.
I would say that in today's world, I think there is more chaos than clarity in today's world, right? There's a lot of keywords, buzzwords, and in that world, the way to gain clarity is to have the right people in your orbit, right? You need to have the right people in your orbit. I met 2 or 3 people when I hear everybody's awesome, but I met 2 or 3 people that I believe if they are in my orbit, I will become a better person, a better professional. So GMG is doing a great job of helping everybody expand not just the diameter of their orbit, but the quality of their orbit. So you may have met your 2 or 3 people that you feel are going to be force multipliers in your life, and I think GMG is doing a phenomenal job of bringing that to life. So congratulations, Sandeep, and everybody, So
thank you.
I think this is great. I enjoyed being here, and good luck with the rest of the event.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I think it was an awesome conversation with one and only Ashish. Please stand up. Please give him a round of applause once more. And I will take 30 seconds of bragging here. I have, is Salil here already? Salil is only supposed to be here. But there is a couple more Charlotte folks here. Hey, give me a hand here. Ninad and Prashant, if you are here. But that's the Charlotte power. Thank you very much, gentlemen.